Hello, everybody. I'm gonna present on the wines of Cholagua Valley, Chile today. Sorry it's taking me so long. It's been a pretty hectic couple weeks getting back to the States and being in quarantine and everything. I hope you guys are all safe, and yeah, let's just get into it. It's a little weird because I have to do it online, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. So, historical overview of Chile. Stone tool evidence indicates humans sporadically frequented in the Monte Valley area as long as 18,500 years ago. About 10,000 years ago, migrating indigenous peoples settled in fertile valleys and coastal areas of what is present-day Chile. Spain conquered and colonized the region in the mid-16th century, replacing Incan rule after declaring its independence from Spain in 1818. Chile emerged in the 1830s as a relatively stable authoritarian republic. The modern sovereign state of Chile is among South America's most economically and socially stable and prosperous nations, with a high income economy and high living standards. It leads Latin America nations in rankings of human development, competitiveness, income per capita, globalization, state of peace, economic freedom, and low perception of corruption. On to the second slide. But as far as the political situation goes in Chile, I just wanted to give a little background. In the 1960s and 1970s, the country experienced severe left-right political polarization and turmoil. This development culminated with the 1973 Chilean coup that overthrew Salvador Allende's democratically elected left-wing Marxist government and instituted a 16-year-long right-wing military dictatorship that left more than 3,000 people dead or missing. The regime, headed by Augusto Pinochet, ended in 1990 after it lost a referendum in 1988 and was succeeded by a center-left coalition which ruled through 4 presidencies until 2010. On the left picture is of the old president, Salvador Allende, and Pinochet is the one going like this. On to the next slide, as far as the current political situation goes in Chile. In January 2006, Chileans elected their first female president, Michelle Bachelet Herrera of the Socialist Party, and she was reelected in March 2014. The current president is Sebastián Piñera, who's pictured on the slide, as well as Michelle. She's pictured on the far left. And in 2019, Chilean protests were a series of countrywide protests in response to a raise in the Santiago metro fare, the increased cost of living, etc., a bunch of other stuff. On November 15th, most of the political parties represented in the National Congress signed an agreement to call a national referendum on April 2020 regarding the creation of a new constitution. So that's an ongoing political situation happening in Chile as we speak, and I attached some pictures of the protests. On to the next slide. We have a history of wine in Chile. Chilean wine has a long history as a New World wine region, as it was the 16th century when the Spanish conquistadors brought Vitis vinifera vines with them as they colonized the region. So wine came into play when the Spanish came and conquered. A large number of French people immigrated to Chile during the late 20th century, bringing more vinicultural knowledge to the country. French wine varieties such as Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Carmenere, and Franc were introduced in Chile. And in the early 1980s, a renaissance began with the introduction of stainless steel fermentation tanks and the use of oak barrels for aging. And then I attached a little chart that basically says like everything that I just said about it starting in the 16th century and then French coming in and bringing their vines. That is which Chilean wines today are the French ones that were brought in the 20th century. As the next slide is the wine industry. I attached a map of all the regions in Chile where wine is produced in bulk, or the best wine regions. And the most common grapes are Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Carmenere, like I said. So far, Chile has remained free of phylloxera los, which means that the country's grapevines do not need to be grafted with the resistant rootstocks for that bug that we talked about in class. That's a bug, I believe. The climate has been described as a midway between California and France, so an ideal place to grow grapes. And Chile is now the 5th largest exporter of wines in the world and the 7th largest producer of wine. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about more the general climate and geography. And I attached a bunch of pictures from all around Chile, which is really, really beautiful. But the territory of Chile extends from the North Desert of Atacama, the driest desert in the world, to the southern end of South America, which is Cape Horn. And I put Cape Horn on the top left, so that's a picture of Cape Horn, and then the Atacama Desert, bottom right. Yeah, with the mountains and the valley. Oh, just kidding. Top right, but also bottom right. Anyways, its terrain consists of low mountains along or near the coast. The central longitudes are fertile plains where agriculture thrives, and the eastern part of the country is made up of the Andes Mountains. This part of the Andes has one of the highest snow-covered peaks in the world and lots of glaciers. So the bottom two on the right pictures are probably from the Andes region, but probably also Atacama Desert. And then within the Central Valley, the alluvial soils have developed over fluvial volcanic deposits, which is the reason for their mineral and organic richness, making it really good place to grow wine. And I attached a picture of that desert, middle left. Not the desert, the Central Valley. On to the next, let's focus in on my region, which is the Central Valley region, the Chapoal and Cholagua valleys. We're 100 kilometers south of Santiago. There is a Rapel Valley that centers two of the best known and internationally recognized wine regions of Chile, the Chapoal Valley, crisscrossed by the Chapoal River, and the Cholagua Valley, irrigated with the Tinguiririca River water. Soils are natural, rich in minerals, sandy layers, and limestone parts in places. The majority of the principal grape varieties grow here, such as Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, Carmenere, and Malbec. And in 1996, the first Chilean wine route was created in the Cholagua Valley. Famous wineries such as La Postol, Casa Silva, Montes, Laura Hartwig, Estampa, or Montgras opened their doors to visitors. So basically, they just made a road within the valley that attaches a bunch of the vineyards, and making it easy to do wine tours and for visitors to come. And next, before talking about my specific winery, I wanted to highlight some of the main wineries within this region. So first, on the far left, I have La Postol Wines, which is recognized throughout the world for its quality and extraordinary ability to express the Chilean terroir. The company owns 370 hectares and 3 different vineyards in Casablanca, Cachapole, and Cholagua, and produces a total of 200,000 cases annually. And they use stainless steel and French oak tanks. And their winery is really, really pretty. On the bottom left, I don't know if you can tell, but it's just a picture of all these barrels in this big room, which is really cool. Next, in the middle, Casa Silva, which is located in the birthplace of the rural Chilean tradition. The Cholagua Valley has received more international awards and accolades than any other Chilean wine region in recent years. Casa Silva is one of 3 pioneering wineries that have achieved certification of 100% of its vineyards are sustainable under the new Wines of Chile Sustainability Code. So that's a really good vineyard. It's famous. It's part of that famous route that I was talking about earlier, and it is sustainable, so that's good. And then finally, on the far right, we have Montez Winery. And the 1987 version of this Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc was the first really premium wine exported by Chile and opened up doors for this vineyard. And for Chile, the path others followed promptly to create Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc. So they were the first to do it, and they were also the first to plant Syrah in all of the Central Valley. And this winery specifically is ranked 6th best winery in the world. And there's a ton of really pretty pictures about it, but I only had room to include that one. But when I was researching it, multiple different sources said that it was ranked among the best in the world. So let me get into my specific winery. It's called Vina Las Niñas, and I pulled a little statement from their website that says their story, so I'll read that. In 1996, Bernard Dory persuaded his friend Jean-Pierre Caillard and Claude Florenza to embark on a crazy idea to join him in creating a wine estate in Apalta in Chile. The girls from these three families soon fell in love with the land and in the Cholugo Valley, which is only a 2-hour drive south of Santiago, the country's capital. The girls, Las Niñas, took the work, which lasted around 3 years, in hand and planted 160 hectares of Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet, Syrah, Mourvedre, Grenache, Noyer, Merlot, and Chardonnay, while an architect designed their cellar and their winery. And finally, I'm going to get into the tasting. Okay, so on to the final slide. For the bottle that I'm presenting on today, it is called Las Niñas Premium, and it is one of their most famous wines from that Las Niñas vineyard, which I was just talking about. It's a mix of Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, Mourvedre, Merlot, Valle de Cholchuagua, and its vinification is a steamed Cabernet Sauvignon. Grapes are ground and follow a typical Bordelaise fermentation. Merlot and Cabernet grapes fermented in low temperature carbonic maceration to recover their fruit and aroma. All vats are worked with selected yeast, giving complexity to the aromas. So that was basically a little description on how they actually do the winemaking process and combine all of these grapes to make this blend. And from the website, it told me that it was aged for 10 to 12 months in French oak barrels, and it's good aging up to 7 years. And a description of this wine, I would describe the color. I have it right here. Sorry, it's pretty empty. My parents got into it because I left it on the wine rack. But as far as its description goes, I'd say it's a deep red or purple. You can't really tell, but that's what I'm saying it is. It's a deep red or purple, and it smells really, really good. I'm getting hints of blackberry and cherry and for sure. Just like dark fruits. Maybe like plum. Kind of oaky due to the French oak barrel aging. Let's move on to the tasting. I wish you guys could all taste this with me. It's so good. Okay. I would say it is really rich and has a really dense, like kind of structure, dense, I don't know, it fills your mouth up really well. A pretty short I would say short to medium finish. Pretty nice sized rim. I'd say it's like a medium sized rim. And the tannins, I would say, are pretty round and well balanced and elegant, if those are good adjectives. Yeah, overall, it's really easy to drink, and it really fills your mouth up, but its flavor is not intense, so it's not like bitey or anything. It's really smooth and really tasty, and I wish you guys could try it, but you can't. But you can buy it. It's Las Niñas Premium 2015, and it's really good if you are into reds. But that's about it. So I will see you guys later. I hope you're all safe and doing well.